Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Planetary Persuader. I am Kozmic Kev, your host, and this is for February 7th through 14, 2014. Now, the first thing I want to say is that Mercury is retrograde right now, and it has been since the 5th of February. And what can we say about Mercury retrograde? Well, it's like this, or actually the 6th, since yesterday at 1:43 p.m. When Mercury goes retrograde, it's like it's going slower than everything else. It seems like it's moving backwards. It really isn't moving backwards, but it seems like it has. And since Mercury rules our communication and our mental processes and our contracts, our agreements, our dealings with money and material goods to some extent, a lot of those things go awry. And it's not advisable to make purchases during Mercury retrograde periods because something about that purchase will tend to go awry. So with Mercury in Pisces, Pisces for one thing is not a very clear communicator. Things tend to get muddled. It's like, well, you should feel it and intuit it. You can't really speak it. Everything that's specific, we don't have any use for that with Mercury and Pisces. We just want the general, broad, enigmatic viewpoint. So that's one aspect of what's going on. Now with Sun in Aquarius, we deal with knowledge. Aquarius is more about the facts, but it likes to throw in a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi futuristic stuff in it. I think of Ray Bradbury, type of stories as very Aquarian in a lot of ways, or well, anything dealing, Star Trek, for instance, in some ways is very Aquarian. It deals somewhat with our concepts of logic, space, and engineering, but also our fantasy mind. Aquarius is known as the bearer of water, but it is an air sign. It essentially rules the nervous system and the brain. It's Saturn ruled. So Saturn deals with what our limits are, and it also deals with age-old wisdom. It deals with laws, where we need to stop and where we need to go. And it is not quite as stuck as Capricorn in some ways, but it's more fixed. It's more opinionated. So when Aquarian sets their mind on something, they know. And they're not going to move. They're not going to budge. They're going to just stay right there with their viewpoint, even if it gets them in a lot of trouble. This reminds me of like the President Ronald Reagan. I mean, even though a lot of things he did were dumb, he didn't care. He's like, I'm just sticking to my viewpoint here, and that's it. And so Aquarians either are genius or they seem to be about as bright as a bucket full of nails. They can be intensely intelligent or they can be a total airhead. And I really don't find many that are in between. But they like to hang on to a certain amount of eccentricity. Most of the fixed signs do. They have some kind of little eccentric quip about them, whether we're talking Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius. Fixed signs tend to go in this really eccentric mode. So, just with the wrap up this week, we've got Mercury retrograde in Pisces. We have Venus moving direct now in Capricorn. We've got Mars in Libra going pretty far and starting to slow down because Mars is going to go retrograde next month. And right now we also have Jupiter in Cancer. I say it's expansion of the tribe. And we've got Saturn in Scorpio, so the big hoo-ha around birth, sex, and death. Uranus in Aries. Oh, those soldiers and cops don't seem to know what they're doing. They're just acting on impulse. Neptune in Pisces, but we can ascend to the spiritual skies and highs. And then Pluto in Capricorn. If we don't love the Earth is going to kick our butt. And that's pretty much what's going on right now. So join me as we go sign by sign in this week's forecast of the Planetary Persuader.